Howdy, howdy, howdy. What's going on, my people? Good morning. This is Jimmy Roberts with Renaissance Appraisal. And I want to tell you, first off, thank you all so very much. A couple of days ago, I put out a call for you to provide me with some questions that you'd like me to answer about real estate or real estate valuation. And man, did you guys answer the bell. I think you guys broke the internet. I'm serious. I think you broke the internet. So I got a flood of email responses. To our Google form, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you so very much. But to make things a little bit easier, and I want you to keep doing it, to make things a little bit easier, I also created a little system for me to make it easy for me so I can see what responses you provide or what questions you provide actually through the Facebook comments. So if you do have some questions and you don't feel like using the Google form, that's fine, perfectly fine. Just go ahead and post your question directly into the comment section of a post like this one. This would be a great post to do that in. All right, that way we can have somebody monitoring all of our Facebook feeds, so we should be able to add that to the list and get your question answered. All right, that said, let's jump right on into it. Mr. Rob Brown, you are first up. You were our first response that we received nice and early in the morning. Thank you again, sir. And so let's jump into it. Your question was about real estate development. Now, this is kind of a generic question, so I'm going to give you one take on it, and maybe I'll give you another one later on in the week because I don't want this to be too long. So here we go. So if your question is about real estate development, and basically, I'm going to assume you mean what are some good areas for real estate development, or what are some things you can look for when you are planning to do some real estate development. First and foremost, let me answer this, let me segment this question a little bit. When you say resident or real estate development, I'm going to assume you mean house flipper. That's an assumption. Or even taking house flipping to the next level would kind of be let's call it community development, for lack of a better term. And for my purposes, what I mean by that is, I mean you and your team would enter into an area of a city, and maybe this area of the city has a lot of either vacant land and or dilapidated housing. And what your plan is to, place houses there, either replace the existing housing stock or establish new housing stock. That was the later one, and we'll address that one later on in the week. The first one I'm going to talk to you about today is just one that's more common, and we'll call that flipping, right? Oftentimes called real estate development, or real estate renovation, or flipping. All those are pretty accurate terms, but they all kind of mean different things. So again, for the purpose of this particular conversation, I'm going to assume you mean purchasing a home at that it needs some significant work, maybe not so much work, but it needs some work, doing that work and reselling the property to the retail market. Okay, so here are some tips and tricks for that based on my own personal experience. Ready? Here you go. First and foremost, you want to make sure you get some really good information. Okay, and here's what I mean by really good information. House flipping in general is a really cool game to play. It is. It's fun. It is absolutely amazing when you can take something that's yucky and turn it into bucks because you made it pretty. That is the coolest thing ever. I have done it. It gives you a huge thrill. Okay. That said, that's a huge high. I'm going to tell you also, there is also a lot of the other side too, especially if it's not done properly and not done systematically. Okay. House flipping, I always tell people this, and whether you're a homeowner or a flipper, every time you open up a wall, it's potentially a problem. Okay. So I learned that at a very, very, very early age, back when I was working with my dad and my uncles, and we'd go around and we'd rehab, or actually, I guess we were just updating their rental property portfolio. And without fail, I can tell you this, without fail, anytime something, if it was more than just a surface change like painting or maybe replacing a sink or something like that, something simple, maybe you're replacing a faucet, something simple, anytime you had to open up a wall, it was just never as simple as just opening up a wall and say replacing a pipe. Because as soon as you opened up the wall, a whole myriad of other issues came up. Okay. Now, this is not to say that you should never do that, because obviously you should. But I'm going to give you an example of something of a quick example of something that I did personally to show you exactly what I mean and to tell you some of the things that you absolutely need to be prepared for. My wife and I, our first house was a condominium. And it was cute little condominium in the community, local community, and we lived in that house for about 10 years, the condo for about 10 years. Great place, loved it a lot. Well, right about year two, in our bathroom, I was taking a shower, and one of the pink Coabic tiles popped off the wall, and I said, "Wow, that's kind of weird," and it landed perfectly. The only issue was it just needed to be basically glued back up to the wall, or grouted back up to the wall. So I went, got all my tools, cleaned it up, and tried to put it back in. But of course, it never quite works the way that you think it's going to work exactly, right? So I had to kind of clean out the area a little bit, and I had to try to find some replacement tiles, because of course another tile came out and that one broke, because that's the way these things happen. Long story short, after everything was all said and done, my quick adventure to replace one tile that had popped off the wall basically turned into a complete bathroom gut. Yep. The reason the tile initially popped off was because the builders, when they built the property, probably about 20 years before we purchased the home, what they did is they did not use the proper substrate. They used a substrate that allowed for mold to build up. Yep. So for 3 years of my life, I was taking a shower and living in an area that had mold growing substrate, all in the substrate that was holding the tile. Yep. And all of this, I found all of this out because finally the water content in the drywall that they put the tile on, it finally got to the point where it made the grout basically separate. The grout could no longer hold on to it. That very quick 2-hour job turned into an 8-month project. That's right, an 8-month project, because ultimately everything had to go. Everything had to go. I had to strip the entire bathroom down to the studs and replace everything, which was okay. I mean, it ultimately it got done, and it was something that we needed to do, because again, when you see black mold staring at you, you're gonna, especially if this is your living area, you're gonna go ahead and do what you need to do to remove it and to take care of the situation. Okay. Now, what is the lesson for that in terms of real estate development? In terms of real estate development, you have to be prepared for stuff like that. Okay. That means that if you go into a house thinking that all you're going to ever do is change the carpet and paint, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be wrong. Okay. That's okay, as long as you understand that walking in the door. As long as you understand that, hey, you know what, if X goes wrong, then I need to have this contingency plan ready to go. And by the way, when I say contingency plan, what I'm really saying is you need to have X number of dollars set aside to correct the problem, because that's really what it comes down to. And that's probably the best part about house flipping. Everything can be fixed if you have enough money. That's it. Everything can be fixed if you have enough money. So in relation to real estate development, my one big suggestion is this. and we can get specific. Rob, if you have a more specific question, please let me know, and then I can tailor my answer toward that. But when I think of real estate development, the one thing that I think of specifically, and I see go wrong quite a bit, is people don't budget properly. Okay, you need to have a proper budget. Whatever you think you're going to spend, double it. If you do that, you should come out okay. All righty. I hope this helps. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it does. Real estate development and flipping are some of my passions. I absolutely love doing it. It can be an amazingly profitable thing to do. There is a learning curve, but the good thing is you can learn it. There are systems available. You can learn them. You don't have to build them all yourself. You can just go and acquire them, get them from somebody, and put them into your business. All righty. If you do those things, you will be profitable and it will be fun and interesting. Okay. But again, remember, real estate flipping is for the adrenaline junkie, because you're going to have some high highs and some low lows. But that's okay. That's all part of the deal. It is extremely fun, and I'm definitely for it. So, Rob, if you have any particular questions, or if anyone else has any specific questions that they like to ask about real estate development, hit me up, or kind of tighten that question up a little bit so I can make sure that I'm answering your question directly. All righty. It's been about 20 minutes or 12 minutes or so. I think that's about long enough. If you guys have any other questions, please either use our link to our Google form or drop them right in the comments, and we'll definitely jump right on them. Thank you again. Talk to you tomorrow.